talked about this, but I'm going to get my take on this situation, or should I say, unfortunate situation that happened. Adrien Brone and BLK Prime have decided to part ways for basically obvious reasons. Adrien Brone stated that basically they couldn't give him what he needed, and Adrien Brone said he is a 100% promotional free agent. So that means he can go anywhere in between 140 and 147. So I feel like Adrien Brone will eventually find a promotional home. But it's unfortunate the situation that happened with BLK. Now, there's some people behind the scenes smiling, basically cheesing like Judd Nelson from New Jack City after Nino Brown got, deleted, because they wanted this to happen. At the end of the day, there were people rooting for BLK Prime to fail. So no shock, no shock. But behind the scenes, dealing with BLK myself, I had some issues with them. Now, it's a shame that their second event has fell apart, but everything that went wrong went wrong. Basically, Adrien Brone wasn't able to find an opponent. Adrien Brone was supposed to have fought this past Saturday, and as you guys know, he wasn't able to fight this past Saturday because basically he ran out of opponents. And then you had this big controversy about what happened. Like I said before, I tried to be objective. I heard what the Williams camp had to say versus what Roy had to say. So I just decided to stay neutral and just leave that alone. It's an unfortunate situation, and I wish everybody involved the best. I really do, because I don't have no horse in the race. But it was some issues that was going on with BLK that I didn't like. I'm not gonna go into deep detail, but I just saw some things that I didn't like, and to be honest with you, I'm not surprised that this happened. You got to understand, you can't play boxing. You can't play with it. And especially if you don't know what you're doing and you got people that's willing to help you and you don't want to listen to them, then, okay, what are you supposed to do? It's that move on. Now I feel bad for people that's involved with BLK Prime. So, but like I said before, Adrien Brone, I can't blame him for shaking the spot. When you get Adrien Broner's, you want to fight on a consistent basis. Adrien Brone is 33, 34. So, Adrien Brone want to stay active. He already haven't fought in a while. So Adrien Brone want to get back in the ring. And Adrien Brone looked like he was in the best shape of his life. And he said, he said on social media, he said that, he was rededicating himself to the sport. He said he stopped drinking. He said he started to distance himself from certain people that he felt wasn't good for him or his image. So that's great on his part. It really is. Man, that is great to hear, because I know what it's like to be affiliated with people that mean you no good. So that's a good look. So I hope Adrien Brone finds a home soon. It's a lot of good fights out there for Adrien Brone, like I said, at 140 or 147. And now, will he win them all? That's debatable. So, like I said before, wow, this just really fell apart. I mean, it just couldn't get no worse. Because like I said, the funny thing was I was about to buy a ticket to this. I was on my way to the ATL, a few weeks ago. I was going to buy a ticket and something told me don't buy no ticket. And then, when Red Cash got replaced with Lundy, and after Lundy got replaced, once Lundy was out, I said, all right, I'm done. And I decided to leave it alone. BLK Prime, If they gonna do these events again, they gonna really have to get organized. They gonna have to hire people that know the business and really that's really equipped to help put events together for them. Everything you just can't wing and figure it out as you go along or try to make your own path. There are just things that you have to follow. You can't wing everything. This is something that you can't do on the fly. And that's basically what they tried to do. So, but with that being said, it looked like Devin Haney and Vasily Lomachenko might be headed towards Saudi Arabia. Devin Haney, he was in there. He was in there. He was in the locker room with, Jake Paul. He was in the building. And you've been hearing about that fight possibly taking place in Saudi Arabia. Now, it's not set in stone, but they do have deep pockets out there, so you do got to go where the money is. So I can't knock Devin and Lomachenko if they decide to fight out there. Get the bag, get the paper, get the coins. As some people say, do what you need to do. But hopefully we hear about a formal announcement for this fight pretty soon, because now we're headed into March. So hopefully we hear about something real soon. And, of course, in all likelihood, I'm going with Devin Haney to defeat Lomachenko. Now, there's supposed to be an announcement either today or hopefully by midweek where exactly Tank versus Ryan Garcia will be taking place. But it is official. It has been announced. So basically, I guess they're looking for a date now. Excuse me, they already have a date. I think they're looking for a venue now. A lot of people are talking about Allegiant Stadium. Hey, if it happens at Allegiant Stadium, cool. Would love to be there, but we got to see. All right, so just wanted to get that part, done with. So let me move on to the next segment. So, the gig may be up for Floyd Mayweather. I just think people have grown tired of the shenanigans with Floyd Mayweather. I just think people are just done with this. I think people are done with seeing him in exhibition matches, because they never had the actual attendance for Floyd's exhibition match, but I know the attendance was very low. Now, you had people come on my channel attacking me and saying I'm hating and all this stuff. And I'm like, why am I hating? Why are you dudes so caught up and hung up with me giving an assessment about what happened at Floyd Mayweather's exhibition fight? That's all I want to know. People talk about me and get mad at me as if I'm like talking to them or something. Like, man, like, knock it off, man. It ain't even that serious. Why are you getting so emotionally attached to a dude that you don't know? But it did have low attendance. And of course, 50 Cent, being who he is, took it upon himself to tweet. And the funny thing, 50 Cent need to be quiet, because at the end of the day, he turned down a fade with Floyd, an exhibition fade. He said no. First, he agreed to do it. Then, maybe, I think less than a day, he backed, I ain't doing it. Because 50 Cent know that he would have got whooped on. And he wouldn't have been able to live down that embarrassment, because then he would have been getting trolled. Keep in mind, 50 Cent is known for trolling people. So I guess that would have been too much for him to handle. I guess his mental psyche wouldn't have been able to handle that. He, which comes across as lightweight, being a bully. He could dish it out, but he can't take it. And I've seen that with Curtis on a couple of occasions. So, yeah. But this thing with Floyd, I think people have seen enough of this. Floyd don't know how to go away. Floyd don't know how to, the thing is, like I said this before, a lot of times with NBA players, a lot of times when they go, if they don't accept a broadcasting job or whatever the case may be, you really don't see or hear from them. Pretty much for the most part. Gary Payton is around. You see him periodically, but most of the time they really disappear. Unless they get an analyst job. You know, the thing about Michael Jordan when he retired from basketball for good, he really, except for him having ownership of the Charlotte Hornets, Michael Jordan, and you really still don't see Michael Jordan very much. Michael Jordan allowed himself to be, celebrated and then missed at the same time. Floyd is always, Floyd is always popping up at events, always announcing exhibition fights on somebody else's card instead of just announcing it on his own. And I just think people seen enough of this. And people are like, okay, you doing all these exhibition matches, and of course you still displaying your skills, showing that you still sharp. Okay, if that's the case, why don't you just come out of retirement as a Hall of Famer and have a real fight, which I think Floyd Mayweather is going to do eventually. I think Floyd Mayweather is going to have an actual fight, but Floyd is going to be very selective about who he pick. I keep saying Floyd should just go ahead and fight Triple G. He should fight Triple G at a catch weight. I believe Floyd fight Triple G, try to get Triple G to go back down to 160. And Floyd go up to 160, or see can you get Triple G to fight you at a catch weight of like let's say 150, maybe seeking Triple G make 157 or something. 156. I'm pretty sure for the right price, Triple G would take that fight. And I think as long as Floyd don't stand in front of Triple G and trade with him, I think he'd be okay. I think Floyd could actually win that fight. But that's the problem with Floyd. Floyd is addicted to the limelight, and he don't want to let it go. He don't want to pass the torch to nobody. He should have passed the torch. Floyd is very much into himself. He is a extreme narcissist. So my thing is, at least consider it. Now we all know he's not gonna fight Crawford, or he's not gonna fight Crawford. He's not gonna fight Spence. Those fights are too dangerous. He would consider Danny Garcia. But Floyd would have to have somebody with somewhat of a name. It couldn't be just any Joe Smoke, because I think now people have grown tired of seeing him fight. Okay, dude, you fighting MMA fighters and all that kind of stuff, and we've seen enough of it. We want to see something real. So I think that's the only option out there for Floyd. That's the only way somebody gonna take him serious, if he actually fights a real fight. Now, I said earlier in a shootout, but Dujak, he got the knockout, and now he has a title at cruiserweight. Like I said before, I wouldn't be surprised if Canelo tries to somehow, some way cherry pick by Dujak, so he can see can he win another belt in another weight class. No, I know he's not gonna take it. I'm saying he can consider it. But yeah. So, I'm not saying that's gonna happen. I'm saying he should at least possibly consider it. That's the only way people gonna pay attention to him now. Cause like I said, he got away with it. He made a ton of money off the Conor McGregor fight, and I just think now people to take him serious, he gotta take another risk, and that's just the bottom line. Period. So now Willie, that's a different story. Should he? Yeah, he should if he gonna continue to have these exhibition matches that basically it appears based off the attendance for the last fight nobody gave a damn about. So there you have it. Now, like I said, getting back to Badu Jack, like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if Canelo tries to find a way out of that second fight with Bibo and say, "Oh, I want to test myself at cruiserweight and try to cherry pick Badu Jack." That's Canelo's mental makeup. That's how he rolls, and I'm so serious. All right, so let me get to the last subject, which is, man. I know there were some reports that came out. I decided that I wasn't going to post that just for different purposes and different, I know that online somebody posted the so-called script for Fury versus Paul. I don't know if it was cap or whatever, but reading what the results was going to be, they had basically, a certain person winning versus another person. But I'm not going to go into it. I'll save that video for another day. But we'll just assume that it was on the up and up. But I think at this point, if, and I know Tyson Fury and fighters trying to follow this code by trying to sell Jake Paul as a legitimate fighter. Okay. You just got to be honest with yourself and just keep it a buck. If you think Jake Paul is a good fighter at this point, then you either a serious fan of his or you just don't know nothing about the sport and the sport boxing. You just don't. You just don't. As far as the knockdown go, I don't think that was that big of a difference maker. Fury was clearly outboxing Jake Paul. He was. He was clearly outboxing him. Jake Paul would land some occasional like overhands, and he would land an occasional jab. But if Fury had a little bit more training and discipline, and I think if he loses some of the muscle mass up top, and he really commits to boxing, I think he can be decent. But as I said before, Fury is a C-level fighter. Jake Paul lost to a C-level fighter. It doesn't matter what happens in the rematch. He lost. And I think nobody cares about this. It doesn't matter what happens in the next fight. He already lost, and that's it. And there was people that was actually thinking that Jake Paul had a chance against Canelo. Okay, please. The average B-level fighter would destroy Jake Paul. Like I said, if Jake Paul really wanted some bread, tell him to go down to 175 and campaign at 175 and see what happened to him. And it won't be pretty. Yo, Chivo, who wins the Tommy Fury should win the rematch. He should win the rematch. He just a better all-around boxer and fighter than, listen, I'm going to be honest with you. Like, I'm glad that this happened. Jake Paul is just not that good. I said this before. Any B-level fighter would beat him. His form is terrible. The way he throws punches is terrible. He's not like I said, and I just cannot believe that people was actually thinking that somebody would pay top dollar to see him versus Canelo. We know what happens if he gets in the ring with Canelo. We know what happens if he gets in the ring with David Benavidez. We know what happens if he fights Caleb Plant. We know what happens if he fights Arthur Beterbiev. We know what happens if he fights Bibble. He can't beat none of those dudes. Those dudes would waste him. And it wouldn't even be, and it would be an easy fight for those dudes. It wouldn't even be a competitive fight. It wouldn't even be a competitive fight. Jake Paul don't have good defense. I mean, if you like I said, if Fury would have been turning Jake Paul a little bit more, if he knew how to turn, he could have. Man, I'm telling you, he could have let off a lot of different combination punches. He would, instead of him like turning and then letting his hands go, he would grab Paul and try to hit him then, when all he would have to do is just turn him and then just hit him with a couple combinations, reset, come back in. I mean, just watching Jake Paul, he has terrible footwork. He has terrible footwork. Yeah, he got decent power. Terrible footwork. Isn't fluent with his punches. He looks exactly like what he is, a actor pretending to be a fighter. You know, he looked worse. He looked more lethargic and worse than Sylvester Stallone. That's another thing. Jake Paul is mechanical. You know, even though Fury is mechanical, but Jake Paul is even more mechanical. You already know he doesn't have an arsenal of different punches. He tries to throw that body shot where he turns. Then he tries to throw a lead right. Then he tries to every once in a while throw a hook, but he doesn't throw combination shots that much. He's a 1-2 or a 1-1, jump back, reset, come back in. So I'm just surprised this ain't ended sooner. But then again, based off his opponent selection, this is why this charade has went on as long as it did. Like I said, the gig is up. The gig is up with Jake Paul. Nobody wants to see this anymore. We already know who he is. He's just not that good. The thing with Jake Paul, he was telegraphing a lot of his punches. Like that's the and that is a reflection on Tommy Fury's bad defense, or his lack of training or experience. Because he was telegraphing that overhand. You could see that coming a mile away. You could see that coming a mile away. And unfortunately, Fury wasn't able to get out of the way at times, but he clearly outboxed Jake Paul. But yeah, that's another thing about Jake. I told you he doesn't have much in his arsenal. He doesn't have much in his arsenal. He ain't a type you can tell what Jake Paul is eventually gonna do after. And then another thing, the way he holds his gloves. He holds his gloves too close together sometimes too. That's another thing. Because you always want to be in a position to punch. That's something else that he does. Jake Paul just got a lot of terrible habits, and I'm gonna tell you right now, this is as good as he's going to get. This is it. He's not, and I'm telling you right now, he's reached his peak. This is as good as Jake Paul is going to get. There's not gonna be any improvement. He gonna fight the same type of fight in a rematch. That's pretty much it. There's not gonna be any form of improvement for Jake Paul. This is it. This is the best you'll see of Jake Paul, and this is why I keep telling you. You put him in the ring with a B-level fighter, he's gonna get. I mean, for real, he's gonna get beat down and probably knocked out really bad. Do I think a new trend? Um, that's an interesting question. I don't think so. Looking at him and looking at him in 6 fights, no. I mean, Flores is cool, but I don't think Jake Paul can get any better. Just it's just based off the way he fights. It's just certain things you just can't teach people. They're gonna reach their peak no matter what. Sometimes it doesn't matter who they train with. You know, can you switch trainers because you think a trainer can make you better, or he could teach you some things that the other trainer couldn't teach you. Like I said before, I think this is it with Jake Paul. I don't think he can get. I don't think he can get any better. He has no chance at being a real fighter. Why you think he was talking about he want to fight KSI next or fight, somebody, Nick Diaz, somebody like that, MMA fighters. He already said he wouldn't fight Bibble. He already said, and I was laughing when he, after Bibble defeated Canelo, he sat up there saying, oh, give me 2 years and I'm going to take Canelo out. If you fight Canelo in 2 years, you're going to get whooped on. You get whooped on by Canelo in 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, because you just can't beat Canelo. You don't have the skill set. Now, the only thing I'm worried about is Floyd Mayweather going to get desperate enough and seeking another big payday to actually entertain the thought of fighting Jake Paul. Now, at the end of the day, why Jake Paul and Floyd Mayweather would sell, because most of y'all already know, that's listening to this stream, the goofballs, Jake Paul's remedial fans, delusional fans that don't know nothing about boxing, they would tune in because they think, Jake Paul is bigger than Floyd and he could punch and this, listen. And it was sell because Floyd is a good trash talker. Jake Paul, he does know how to talk trash, but the boxing realists know what would happen. Floyd would whoop on Jake Paul. But I just hope Floyd wouldn't be desperate for another big payday, that he would further ruin his legacy or have people questioning his legacy by fighting somebody like Jake Paul. Floyd fighting YouTubers, fighting an actual YouTuber, failed Disney actor. Like, Floyd would really be hurting his legacy. But then again, do we care? Probably not, because as long as the check clears, he'll be okay with it. But I really think that could be a possibility. I hope it doesn't happen. I have Floyd having enough pride, what little pride he had, not to do this just for the sake of money and protect his legacy as a fighter. This is why people say the stuff they say about Floyd. But there isn't. No, I'm serious. I don't think Jake Paul can get any better. I think he is who he is. And watching Floyd in that exhibition match, Floyd, even at 46, he would pick Jake Paul apart. I mean, he would pick Jake Paul apart, and it would be bad. And I know people gonna say, well, what about weight? They have weight classes for a reason. Yeah, actually they do. I understand that. But at the same time, they also have skill set too. They also have levels to to opponents. They have levels to boxing. You either have somebody that's at fifth level of, Kung Fu Masters, the old arcade game, but then you have people at level 1. Jake Paul is at like level 1. Floyd is like at the highest level 5, So even at 46 and Jake Paul having some height on Floyd, Floyd would beat Jake Paul down. He would just hit him. Jake wouldn't be able to get out of the way of Floyd's hook. His face would be target practice. Like I said, Jake don't have good defense, so that hook would be there, that short hook Floyd had, and that body shot, and then man, but the only people, like I said, that would believe this fight would be winnable for Jake Paul is his delusional fans. But like I said, I'm hoping Floyd don't do it. Save your your legacy, save your reputation, save your respectability. Don't do everything for money. For real, you not even Floyd Money Mayweather no more. You should be calling yourself Floyd Mayweather. Real talk. You ain't a boxer no more. You don't need a gimmick, you know what I'm saying? A gimmick nickname like that. So, nah, I didn't get a chance to watch the Badu Jag fight, but I know he won and I know he got a belt. So that's why I'm thinking that Canelo might try to, circumvent a way to fight Badu Jack and try to see could he get, but it might backfire on him, just like the Bibble fight did. Yeah, I feel bad for AB, but like I said, AB, I think AB will be fine, man. There's a lot of people that would love the services of AB because you could put AB in the ring with certain opponents and keep him busy, put him in a position to where he can win. But it's some good fights for Adrien Brone, as I said, between 140 and 147. So I'm just saying, I just wouldn't be surprised if Canelo all of a sudden say Badu Jack is on the radar, because this would be right up his alley. Hope he don't do it, but it's not gonna surprise me if he does. But anyway, you guys, appreciate y'all tapping in. Got to get some rest. Got to go to work later on, so I'll be back later with more. Peace.